listen, can you hear that sound? There's a razor crew approaching, tremors on the ground. If we stay in the desert till darkness descends, then radio station Cyrus transmission ends. There's violent opposition from mediocre minds, desperate isolation, humanitarian crime, terrorist, 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 terrorist.
I'm a real lover of records and recordings, as much as I like live and seeing artists performing live. So the studio is the environment I most like, and I can dream up ideas there, and it's a real safe place for me, and I can escape all the problems of the real world and all its concerns. So yeah, that's where I like to be.
Desire puts our lives at risk. There's violent opposition to mediocre minds, desperate isolation, humanitarian crimes, terrorist, 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 terrorist. Oh.
When I was recording Hierapolis, a typical day would entail me cycling up to the studio, which is uphill, about 20 minutes. So that's my morning workout. And then when I get there, I would get the most important piece of equipment in the studio, which is the kettle. And I put that on, get a cup of tea, and then I'd start to slowly work on the music, check the machines, and if it's winter time, make sure there's heat. And during the summer, if it's too hot, put on a fan, and that's it really. And then that's all I need. Start working on the music then.
Terrorist, 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 terrorist.
To describe how I went about making tracks for the Hierapolis album, I could use the analogy of a painter, where the painter is trying to frantically get the paint onto the canvas. It was a bit like that with the tracks, where I was trying to use the machines and the instruments to get the sounds down fairly quick, so I wouldn't lose the overall feel of what I was trying to do. So it happened kind of organically, I suppose, but I didn't want to spend too much time on each track. The idea of a concept album is something we had touched on in the past. The Marigold's Abbey Street EP was a concept EP itself, and very much a homage to our musical heroes, the Beatles. In 1967, the Beatles released the double A-side single, Strawberry Fields Forever and Penny Lane. The artwork featured a map. It was Mick and Keelan that had the idea to put a map on the back of our EP, Abbey Street. It was Robbie Hanna that came up with the front cover concept. It was Robbie who pointed out to us that although we didn't have an Abbey Road in Dublin, we did indeed have an Abbey Street. And what's more, we had a zebra crossing. It was a great idea. And as fate would have it, the week we were to do our photo shoot, they freshly painted the zebra crossing. That's what I call synergy. Another major influence on the Abbey Street EP was Dave Frew. Here he is pictured on stage with Robbie stage right. The resulting EP was a blend of Abbey Road, Magical Mystery Tour and the Strawberry Fields Forever single. The concept substituted Liverpool for Dublin, and we even dressed up in costumes as our heroes had in the 60s, and we threw in some cartography for good measure. That's the use of maps. Field Recordings was released in 2004. It was my first solo album. The music was quite diverse, ranging from indie pop to rock and even some country music.
When you're old, then you'll know all the people I know seek forgiveness for losing the plot. Someday soon, like it or not.
Some of the songs on the Field Recordings album had a distinct country flavour to them. I remember at the time I was listening a lot to Graham Parsons, The Byrds and the Flying Burrito Brothers. When it came to lyrics for the album, I was listening a lot to Bob Dylan and people like Morrissey.
Ever since we've been together, you nailed my feet to the floor, and from the rooftops the bells did toll. Your diamond shines, your diamond shines, your diamond, how it shines. For perhaps
As debut albums go, it was fairly well received, and I'm quite proud of that record even today. A few years later, it was off to Los Angeles to hook up with my old friend Brian Gittings for a collaboration album called Woodward and Gittings. Woodward and Giddings was a real upbeat record. A lot of people have said to me they can hear it was made in a sunny place. At the time we just let the music flow and we really enjoyed making it. Not long after returning home, I set up my own studio and got to work recording some more solo tracks. Some years later I released Demographic, which was my old demos recorded to 2-track tape. No computers or nothing digital was used in the process. Now we have gone full circle. All roads lead to Hierapolis. Welcome to the now. Don't touch that dial. Here comes part 4.